So I didn't know if it was going to be copyrighted or not, but here we go, JP from the Gaza Gang. And I just about blew my windshield out. Promise you that is this was here.
All that was, and when he hit a certain bass note, it jumped all the way up and tinged a.
And now look at the windshield now. I don't know if y'all can see that, but
push on it.
That was not like that before right now. So time to call Dunaway and get some
plexiglass put in.
All right, everybody, of course. And I forget who was it, Neil, I think is your name, off the Bass Junkie 2020 group. Remember what I said last night about if all the moons and the stars stay aligned, brother? Well, as you can see, Mother Nature's trying to mess with me, but I'm not going to let her get me. And let me give y'all a sneak peek of what's going to happen here. Working on the amp rack, and I'm still tightening up some things. Of course, we got to do that rear deck, but that rear deck ain't hurting nobody. I ended up flipping my boots too. Let me get the white light on this. I don't know if y'all even knew this thing came with a nifty little remote. Let me change colors. Let's go to white. Yeah. Sundown audio. Spotlights. The boots are flipped. Right side up. And back there is what you're going to actually be seeing in the trunk area. And I actually am holding the GoPro. Please excuse the little crackliness of it. But here's what we're going to be seeing when you look backwards as you're sitting in the front of the car like this. And I'm holding my windshield mount right now, but I'm just trying to get everything shored up and see how high I want it. That right there is actually 5 inches off the deck, and I think I kind of like that because you can see the whole amp from front to back, but still is concealed. And we'll step outside here. Let me turn these lights off. I don't want to forget that. And go back out. Have a look in the trunk. I'll get my headgear. Oh no. No, that's no bueno. So the idea is somebody wants to see the system, and that piece right there is gonna lift up also. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm just mocking this up at the moment and really determining if I want to move both batteries up there or not. I don't really know yet, but we'll see. But the idea is you pop the trunk, you pump the trunk. Yeah, pump it. And it's got sawdust on it too. I gotta wipe it back down. I had to move up under the carport here to do my sawing. But this is what you see when you pop the trunk. A couple of warp nacelles sitting here, you know, Project Defiant, Star Trek theme, or warp cores, or whatever you want to call it. It's the engineering bay. And, you know, you look down through here, you see the amps and the subwoofers. And then from the front, you see the subwoofers and then the amps. And that was the vision all along. And I think it's going to look pretty good. And of course, this area here, I'm going to have to cut a piece out for this back area here and kind of round it up and fit it. And I'm not going to do that today because that's going to involve the router, and it's wet outside. I already have these pieces cut and ready to go. And now it's just framing it up and seeing the lightest way to do this. So what I did was I could take a piece of this out. Can I mount this somewhere so I can actually just show you? I think it'll hang right here. Please work with me, GoPro. Hey, look at that. Can y'all see? All right, I don't know, probably staring at the trunk, but the idea is we take this, kick it to the side, and I took some scrap plywood and cut some strips to go along. And one thing that you may not be aware of is see these little bumps. They're all uneven, these bumps, so I'm trying to keep in between them, and that's why I'm doing it like this instead of a full deck in here, to keep everything level as possible anyway, because I don't want a piece of wood kick sideways and then the amp rack kick this way and not flush mounted with that. So this is the easiest way to do it, to keep in between those little bumps that they have. And I know they do that for rigidness. So now I just need to decide, do I move my excess battery up here and flip around my stock battery around until I get the other ones, because what we're going to end up with is an excess battery and a super cap bank or two up here on this side, and more than likely this side of the rack later on both sides, and trying to keep it super lightweight, maybe one battery, one super cat bank per side, just to even out the weight. And there you go. So this is what we have so far. Once again, some mock-up, but I believe this will be how high we're going to go with it. And what I'll do is I'll take and find out the best spots, because I am going to have to screw into the 2x4s, and I'll find the best spots and mark them out on the strips. Take this whole thing out, screw it to it, and put it back in, and then pick out a spot to drive in some screws down here. And it's not going to take many, because I'm not going to glue it right now, because I have another idea and a possible 2.0 version of this, because I kind of like this idea, but I have another idea to go along with it involving actuators, because I love things that move when you flip a switch, and I think you're going to like it. So we're just going to get the 1.0 version in here, see how it looks, be done with it, and see if these amps and myself and my system can survive running the JP23s. After I took everything out and checked the ohm load, resting right here as these U18s sit, believe it or not, I'm not joking, I got a picture, I'll do it live if I need to, but resting, sitting here, they're already at a half ohm, and the amp was doing mighty fine. I didn't even know that. Of course, I did know Sundown Audio, their 4 ohm subwoofers are not really 4 ohm. Jacob Fuller himself, the owner of Sundown Audio, has attested to this on a couple of occasions, where you'll have 4 ohm subwoofer be at 3.8, 3.6. You'll have another one that might show up as 3, you know, so they're not true 4 ohm. And so the final impedance on this, sitting in the box, just nothing in there, resting, being still, was between, and it was floating depending on movement and all that good stuff, between 0.5 and 0.8 ohms. All right, and that was just crazy to me. So I was like, dang, and the amp handled it mighty fine. So technically when we hook these up, the amps are gonna see a 1/4 ohm load. That's a little bit more scary. So I'm definitely gonna have to be careful until I get the other electrical hooked up in here in the next couple of weeks, because I'm doing this out of pocket. You know, I'm doing it check to check to check. I have a little budget, so I don't break the bank, so I don't fall behind on anything, and have a little extra in case something happens, you know. And there we go. So there's a little update for you, and we'll be back whenever we get the final mock-up of this and get out onto the table and get this stuff screwed and glued and back in the car. I need to get the wire set. I got my lugs in yesterday, so that's another thing. After I get done with this, we'll be hammering some lugs down and getting the wiring ready, and then I'll have to decide what we're going to do with the excess power battery here. Stay tuned. Before we put this in the Defiant, have a look at the what we have going on here, and also too, this is me doing a prep check. We have our negative to negative here. Slave amp is going to become the negative. This is going to become the positive to the speaker leads. Have my slave cable in there. RCA is already in. Cat 5's already in. We'll get her hooked up. Negatives are to the chassis where the seat belt mounts used to be. And we should be ready to get her in there, so long as all the moons and stars stay aligned, brothers. So let's see how this is going to work. This is the part that I'm not 100% about. Getting it in the back without knocking and scratching and fighting. Oh, just as everything in this car tight to fit. And of course the carpet's gonna catch, but that's okay. Oh, look at that. There we go. All right, and since this is a 1.0 version, let me get me a kneeling board. Since this is a 1.0 version, I am actually going to come off of that back deck just by the 8-gauge wire, because I want to run it underneath and straight up into the amplifiers. This is going to be going away. All right, completely going away. I'm going to be chopping this, extending it safely, doing some of this and some flex loom and all that good stuff to make sure it's okay. This battery will be down there, adding another Group 34 and a Super Cat bank into this this side over here, and this side for whatever little bit of cargo. I will be taking all this back out eventually and hitting it with some clear coat. I'm out of clear coat. I forgot to get some while I was out grabbing the Allens, because the dual inputs here, and I even tried to shop around local at my local shops to get some dual inputs. Can you believe nobody at the 3 places I checked even knew what I was talking about? Like, what is that? Is that a 4-gauge reducer? Like, no, it's not. Like, you're in the business and you don't know what this is. That's kind of scary, folks. But anyway, never fear. I got to get the another run of 0 gauge coming from the alternator anyway, because I ran out of 0 gauge, and some more negative so I can run 2 and 2. I have 2 for this side, only have 1 for that side, so that's all we're going to be hooking in right now is that. And hopefully I can reach my sub inputs. Right. Here's the baffle insert and the roundovers, which that stuff right there is actually not too shabby. The self-adhesive one. And I'm mainly focusing on, and I thought it'd be a little accent piece since I have the yellow integrated. This insert to my baffle is going to take me down to 192 inches here, and the 500 and 700 or whatever it is to take me up to 700 even. Give or take a 1/4 inch. So yeah, this is now the 3rd coat, because I got one gray happening. I figured I'd throw this in the mix while we're installing the amplifiers, because this is what I'm going to be doing next. Alright, so let's leave this out in the sun to dry for another 15-20 minutes, and I think that's going to do it right there. Yeah, because I can always take it back out the way I'm putting it in. I got to drill some pilot holes yet across there. Alright, let's go back to this. So, in the meantime, I have hooked up the speaker leads, negative to this amp, positive to this amp. Both negatives are strapped across to each other here. This now becomes negative, this becomes positive out of the leads. And we are at that point where we can take these ends, and these ends came out pretty good. I like this name brand. I wish I had it in front of me to tell you. They crimp down very well with my hammer crimper, and I'm going to be, like I said, once again, this is going to be all cleaned up over here, and this is definitely going to change. I might even end up putting a cover box to it in here, and a little 12-volt fan, maybe a computer fan or something that just blows through, just to have a little circulation back here on these, even though they're sealed. I don't know, just a little thing. And then in here is going to be the same thing. Eventually we'll get like an RGB fan just to blow across these fins on this side way back here. All right, and hook it in to the edge, and I think that'll look very nice. And then trim it out on the edges there with some tape like this just to black it out. And that'll pretty much be it for this. Fan cutouts for both amps are here, and there ain't nothing left but to fish out my remote lead. It goes to the toggle switch, and I do have some 16 gauge or 14 gauge, yeah, 14 gauge wire here. I'm going to be splicing into it and then putting into this one next, and then finally we'll hook up the grounds and then the positives to the battery, screw her down into place after all that, because I don't want to get all this screwed down, glued, screwed, tattooed and everything else, and then something be wrong, have to take it back out. All right, so let's do that. I'll be right back. I gotta set the gains yet. I'm just doing a power check on this, quite honestly. So let's go to the royalty free, which I've already halfway talked to these people. Rice baby, what? All right, and they like the fact that I like their copyright songs, so I think they're actually kind of impressed. And of course I don't have YouTube Gold Press Platinum, so let's just put it on up here and see what happens. All right, here we go. Just want to make sure we get power. Look, I'm already seeing a temp pull off of this. Let's turn the lights on. Uh-oh, hold up. Ooh, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to set that gain. All right, and just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna do this.
3, 2, 1.
Holy shit. Any buzzing you hear is this shit around me. Oh yeah, I can feel it. All right. All right, let me get some tuning going on and then we'll be back. Stay tuned. You may or may not know, my radio clips at after 28 volume. And it goes to, what does it go to? 35. So what is that, about 3/4, 2/3, something like that. And I've been doing 40 hertz test track back here on the O-scope. And I also had the meter, the voltmeter on it. And looking at this, I'm sure you can see that because it's actually not dark, and I'm almost done with phase 1. I do have my subwoofer lead, my positive lead off of here, my negative leads over the positive lead over here, and this is the O-scope right here where I've been fiddling with it all the way up, all the settings and all that, and I have it pretty well set, I believe, where it needs to be right now until the subs 100% break in. I did a little burp off stream and oh my god, it like punched me in the throat. Now I gotta want to test out with the new port and see what that sounds like, but yeah, this looks pretty clean. That sine wave looks good, I do believe. And let's go turn it down to 26, and then 26, 25, 23 is where I usually listen to music. So let's go down to 26. This is usually max volume unless I'm jamming out. And let's look at the signal here. Yep, even cleaner. Let's take it down to 25 and have a look. And then we'll drop it down even to 18. And matter of fact, let's just go down to 23. We'll go 23 and then 18. That way I don't have this way too long. So here's 23. Nice clean wave there going on. Is like right at half gain. That is just into clipping, where the light's just sitting there flickering but not solid. Does that make sense? And that's all the way up. Chances are I'm not going to go all the way up. I hardly ever do. So I usually stop about 2/3 gain. Always have. That's just the way I do things. I have looked at the meter here, and I'll show you if you can see it. I'll tell you what it is before I hook the positive lead back up, and then I'm gonna call it a day and go do some testing on this. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's gonna float, but it's anywhere from, okay, there's 0.8, 0.7, 6, 5, half an ohm, and it floats between a half an ohm and all that. So technically, I have voided my warranty because we are technically at a 1/4 ohm. Now I'm not going to go crazy with it, of course, because we got to get another battery, supercat bank, etc., so forth. So we're not going to be going crazy with this. I will probably do some burps and a couple of demos, but once again, like I've told everybody, I am a wuss when it comes to actually cranking stuff up into the danger zone of clipping. So let me get my cable plugged in here while everybody's out there still, and then we're gonna call it a day. Let's see if I can see this. Whew, earlier my eyes were blurred. I was like, man, what is going on around here? I got 2015 vision. I'm acting like I can't see. All right, let me do that. And then get up in here and torque it down a little bit. Not over torque, but just, there we go. There we go. Just like that. And we're good to go. Now everything's back. Woo! So let me get everything cleaned up around here. And I'll try to get out someplace at some point in time and get a demo going. But here it is, boys. Oh yeah, and the new baffle's in. I haven't shown y'all that. Let me go show you the new baffle right quick. And then we'll call it a day. Alright, so here's the new baffle. I gotta glue it into place, but alright, here's this. Here's the baffle. This takes us down to, and I gotta measure it yet, but it should take us down to 31 by 6 on the measurements. That's what it's supposed to be. And that should put us at 192-ish on the port area, open port, plus the subs, and that should put us smack dab on the class numbers we need to be on. Alright, so I'm gonna end it here, everybody, and get everything cleaned up and ready to go do some testing on this. I gotta peel the sticky tape off of that. I was just making sure everything was gonna fit properly before I took it off. Alright, let's craft it in mind, go out there and have some fun, and we will be back in a little while. Woo! Okay, that's significant. That's a significant jump from one JP to another. I mean, what the what? Whoa!
To put it simply, it's overgunned and overpowered for a ship its size. During battle drills, it nearly tore itself apart when the engines were tested at full capacity.
All right, fuck off. I got work to do. Boom.